Right then, third instalment of the Talking Walls podcast. As always, we've got the camera. It's Dave. I'm alongside my guest, Matt. How's it going?
I'm all right, mate. You good?
Yeah, good. Tom?
Yes, delighted to be here.
Delighted. Oh. And our fan guest today, Callum. How's it going, mate?
I'm not too bad, thank you, mate,
yeah, all good. We're going to be going through all the usual stuff, the past month of fixtures, the coming month of fixtures towards the end of the season, and looking back on this FA Cup journey that we've been on, if we don't start crying halfway through. Yeah. Callum, we'll start off with you, obviously being our fan guest today. I'd assume you're not one of these bandwagoners that has jumped on in the last year, have you? Or
as soon as we've got Chinese ownership, then
you got your season ticket, there we go.
Yeah. And supported them all my life, cover some of the teams for my uni course.
So you're doing journalism at uni, is it? Yeah. So it's I've got a few budding journalists here today.
My journalist days are past me, mate. Thank
you. Well, let's start off with. Let's start off with the past month of fixtures. I think since the last time we've met, I believe that. Let me get the fixtures up because
the wheels have fallen off.
The wheels have fallen off supposedly, haven't they?
But we still beat Man United.
That's it. I think the past month of fixtures, totally unprepared here.
I was going to say, Tim Pot, isn't he?
The last time we met, right? Here we go.
We'll get this on the fancast.
Yeah.
That was it.
77 club.
Well, weirdly, the first game since we last met was because we had an international break at the last podcast. So Burnley was the first game after the last podcast. All three of you didn't go to Burnley. You two, you.
I went, yeah.
Plastic fan. 2-0. Matt, we'll start off with you. Thoughts on that game?
It's rubbish. There's no urgency. Again, same as we'll come on to in a bit. Just wasn't moving the ball quick enough. That midfield three again, pretty static. But if you start the game like that, you concede after 1 minute 30. You set yourself up to fail, aren't you?
Yeah.
And with a team like Burnley, as soon as they get ahead, just sit back and defend. But again, Wolves didn't really threaten much at all. It's like I had a lot of possession, which is what we've seen against the lesser teams, and not doing much with it. So I think that's something that definitely needs addressing towards the end of the season, going into next season for sure.
I mean, the only sort of, it's not even really much of a positive, which we'll talk about the Southampton game as well later. For both games, which you've conceded both early in, we controlling possession, okay, aren't we? But we're just doing nothing with it, are we?
Just don't move the ball quick enough.
If you don't pass the ball forwards either against those teams, nothing's going to happen.
It brings us back to we'll talk about new signings because people seem to ask us about that as well every podcast. Brings us back to, we need someone in the middle that can bring the ball forward, don't we? And we're passing it side to side, or when we haven't got an option, you see Neves coming into that almost half-back role and punting it forward, or Sace punting it forward to no one.
Well, we saw in the cup game against United that Moutinho was able to do that, but sort of from the edge of our own box up to halfway and just push us up that far, but there's nobody who can take it into their final third, is there? I think Dendoncker could do that. He does it occasionally, but not consistently enough. But to come back to the Burnley game, they were far too cautious also. They were backing out of challenges, and you were coming up against a team that had to win that game, or if they hadn't won that game, they'd have been in trouble. And we were safe. We had a semi-final a week later, so that's why we lost that game pretty much, I think.
Yeah, you are right. Conor Cody own goal. It was a fairly unfortunate one, I thought, but
But I think the errors with Patricio really
on that first one.
I think so.
Yeah.
There was somebody who lost. I forget who it was who ran in, but the runner that came from deep.
Yeah.
Nobody was tracking with it.
Yeah, and then obviously Dwight McNeil in the 77th minute. It was a good finish, to be fair, but
went past two defenders.
Yeah, Wolves 8.
Sorry, Patricio's positioning on that as well is a bit suspect.
He always seems to be. He gets beaten quite easily at those shots across him, I think, as well. It's a bit
there was one, wasn't there? You'll come on to it. McTominay's goal
was
almost
too
identical
dissimilar,
from the other side of the box.
Yeah.
Good finishes, but
it's like his positioning isn't quite there. It's weird, for a person that's
he's very tall with big arms as well.
Used to be, maybe still he's a world class goalkeeper, won trophies and everything, but it's like his position's a little bit off, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
He came out and flapped at a cross as well in the first half against Burnley. Just looked weak. Like we spoke last time about how Ruddy played against Cardiff because he was tougher. I was expecting Ruddy to play that game against Burnley because of the sort of...
If you look last season though, I don't think Ruddy commanded his area very well. He's like a vampire who's scared of crosses.
Yeah. Shock. Wolves in that game, 8 shots to Burnley 6, 63% possession, but obviously it's goals that win games, and Wolves weren't good enough. And then you go on to that next game, which was against Manchester United in the league, and you think it's going to be typical Wolves to turn United over after a result like that against Burnley, and we did that, didn't we? I mean, McTominay's early goal in the 13th minute, Jota then getting one back in the first half, and in the end it was a Chris Smalling own goal after an Ashley Young red card. Callum, I think Wolves would have been disappointed not to have got anything out of that game, especially with that red card that United got in the end.
But the thing is, with games like that, is what we know Wolves will always put on a performance in games like that, but it's always, sometimes it's like, I'm not sure if we're still going to get something out of that game, because even when it was 10 men, I was still saying, because I go to the games with my brother, I was still saying, I'll take a point here, because I thought, like, it's Man United, they're still going to be a bit dangerous, but then I thought, other than, they had a few chances, but I think we were the better team. I thought we played really well.
Yeah, we probably should have put more past them. Cavallero hitting the bar, we had a couple of good chances as well.
I thought that first 20 minutes...
That was some of the. To be honest, that was some of the worst defending that I'd seen. You know, until yesterday. The cross that came in for a free header for Lingard. There was a Lukaku chance as well. It was straight Patricio, but good save.
Patricio saved us that game.
But if United went 2 or 3-0 up there, that would have been game over. So I think we did ride our luck a little bit that game, didn't we?
But once Jota scored that, it was an error from Fred. Once he scored that, it was like Wolves were plain sailing, dominated the game. It's weird how a goal changes the game, really.
Yeah, we didn't really have much to worry about after that.
I was most surprised about the team selection. I was expecting a lot more players to be rested ahead of the semi-final than there actually was. However, there was a 5-day rest from that, so I think it was perfectly reasonable to put that team out. However, I would have, in hindsight, probably rested Jimenez, Neves, Moutinho maybe, and sacrificed 3 points to make sure that on Sunday we'd have got the win. I would have.
I don't think it made much difference. I don't think. We still had, what was it? We played on Tuesday. Played Tuesday, Sunday. It's not small.
Watford
period,
played on Tuesday with a pretty strong team.
Yeah,
they beat Fulham, didn't they?
They didn't play Delafeu or Pereira. They rested them.
But then Delafeu didn't start in that
game. It was weird about that Delafeu thing, because I'd heard Watford fans say it, and because you tend to see him on Match of the Day or on, he scores a fair number of goals for them, and it's not as if if that was me, I'd be like, he's got to start every game. They're not actually that bothered about it. They know they've got players like Andre Gray, Pereira, Deeney.
So they play Will Hughes there, don't they?
Yeah,
which is probably a little bit more defensively sound than Delafeu. Speaking to a mate as an Everton fan, he was gutted when they sold him. He said the only thing is his decision making is quite poor. He never lasts 90 minutes, but he said he's some player when he gets on it and he's on his day.
I can't remember who it was I heard talking about Delafeu, but saying that they'd almost he was angry that he was on the bench on Sunday.
And he almost just wanted to prove a point, sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, and then obviously later in the game as well, he was down. I thought he was just wasting time. In the end, he actually did get subbed off, didn't he, in extra time? I mean, we're talking about it. We may as well finish off and speak about it more in depth. That day at Wembley. I mean, Raul, we'll start off with you first. That Buzzing Out the Word song did alright, didn't it?
It was a classic.
I bet you people are listening to this and don't realise that came from your channel.
Well, yeah, I haven't had a video that's been shared like that on all the
online,
different Wolves platforms. I don't know how many views it actually had, but I reckon it was close to 200,000 perhaps.
Yeah, like Facebook everywhere. And stuff. Yeah.
But yeah, we were on local radio, national radio on the Sunday, interviewed on WM outside Wembley as well. So all of that was fantastic, building up to it, but then it's just a shame what actually happened.
I mean, who shared it? Jackie Oatley, Tim Spears, I saw.
Yeah, Don Goodman has it saved on his phone.
Man, like Don. On the MP4 Bluetooth file.
Yeah.
Would have Bluetooth me that Buzzing Out the Word, mate?
Yeah. I don't know, I assume the players have heard it, because... Nuno would have shared.
Do you reckon Nuno's heard it?
Yeah, he watches my channel, so he'd have.
That's why Nuno's so upset. We let the old Gordon back down.
Could get Joe Edwards to ask him if he's heard it.
I mean, we overall Wembley. Did we all enjoy the day other than the football?
No.
I hate Wembley.
I loved the day apart from the football. Well, apart from the last half an hour, the last 10 minutes of the game and extra time. I just stood there shell shocked, but the whole day, the travelling with all my family,
I hate travelling.
I loved it.
I hate the travelling.
I drove down with family. It's a pain in the arse to get to. It's in the arse end of nowhere. it's just I don't like it. I don't like Wembley, but it was good. I was very proud walking to my seat, the amount of Wolves fans everywhere.
Yeah, you could just hear Wolves fans.
I couldn't believe.
That's what I mean. Even after the game, like you wouldn't know Watford had won the game because like you're walking down, I didn't hear anything from them.
Well, they're a bit of a nothing club, really.
Heads down.
Troy, you watching? No, but they had one. Graham Taylor took them from Division 4 to the First Division back in the 80s, but they haven't got any history bar that. They have, what was Vicarage Road? About 20,000?
20,000, yeah.
They're not a hugely supported club. I'm jealous that they've managed to get to the final. I've got massive respect for what they've done because they've managed to stay in the Premier League for 4 or 5 years now. That experience told last Sunday. We'll get to that level, I've got no doubt, and we'll surpass that level very, very quickly. But we proved as fans how big Wolves are as a club and the history that we've got and the pride that we take in our team on Sunday. And lots of people were saying that we're back now after that. We're still on our way back. That's the flaw for me. We are, we'll be in a final.
Do you think that's the case, or do you think we've kind of hit the ceiling?
No, I think this is the start. I mean, Fosun are not going to sit on they're not going to rest on their laurels. So they're going to push on for that. And if it costs Nuno his job, or if it costs getting rid of some of the players that we've idolised over the last couple of years, that's what it's going to take. They're cutthroat, and they will.
They've got to be ruthless, though. You look at the Barry Douglas thing. Yeah. How good was it last season for us? And everyone's like, oh my god, got rid of him.
Yeah, well, that will happen with Cavallero, who was a good player. Costa will Costa will go, but it's. I mean, we talk about Costa, but how quickly fans. I mean, it doesn't help with his current performances, but how quickly fans forgot about his first early performances.
Yeah,
well, it will happen. We can't hold any of these players.
Costa was a very good player in a poor team.
Yeah. But like with the pace Wolves are going, you can't hold any sentiment to any players.
But it'll happen with players that we don't expect as well. Doherty and Cody, I could see not being part of the first 11 the first game next season.
I agree. Yeah.
Players like Neves, even at his current showing, he's had 2 good games for me this year. If somebody was to come in and offer 50 million for us in the summer, I would.
I said that on Twitter this week and I got laughed at.
But I'm with you, Matt.
I don't see £50 million for a player who's.
You've made £35 million profit then, straight away.
And there's some player in there, but I think the system that we're playing, he's dropping that deep. He's basically like in Cody's pocket.
Yeah. I said to you on the way, didn't I? I said it's almost as if, like, on paper, people have Neves down as this defensive-minded midfielder, but is he good at tackling? Not particularly. He's not strong enough. He's not big enough. I almost think, like, not in this current system, but if you gave him a role higher up the pitch or a free roam role, he's not quite got the pace to do it. But imagine him getting a bit more space around him, dictating the play a lot more. In this current system, it doesn't work.
I don't think it's been that bad this season, but I think it's because of the change of the system.
Change of the system, the change of the quality of the
his
teams.
His role has changed, so like he doesn't get like the opportunities that he did last season. He got to keep it ticking over in the middle, and that's a different player to what we saw last year.
I'm sure I read that he said he preferred playing in this system because he's able to play a lot deeper like he does for Portugal, and he doesn't have to do a lot of running. But
he's seen more of the pitch as well.
Yeah, but the opposition midfielders are closing him down not too quickly, but he can't cope with the way that they're pressing him, and he can't get those passes out quickly. The only time he did was against Leicester. That ball to Jota or Jimenez to Jota. For the last minute goal, but apart from that, I don't think he's done anything.
I always think about, like, obviously Neves, and then I always think, part of me thinks, yeah, he's not been brilliant, but then another part of me thinks, has he not been brilliant, or aren't people singing his praises as much because he's not getting all these goals? But then I'm looking at it as well and thinking, whenever he's not actually on the pitch, we don't seem to play as well, or I don't know how to put it, but like, for argument's sake, against Watford, I actually think we would have seen it out if he was still on the pitch. And yesterday, we just almost fell apart when he came off the pitch as well.
We had somewhere to beat him yesterday.
Yeah. It was just.
I think the thing with that though is our bench. Beyond our starting 11, there's nothing on there.
Which is weird because at the start of the season, I probably would have said our strength is in depth is probably the strongest it's been for years.
Or even as short ago as when we played United in the Cup, I was saying if it goes to extra time, the pace and the attacking options we've got at the bench is great, but you can't take Neves out and put Gibbs White in. I mean, that's a golfing class. There's no, but for me, Moutinho is more important than Neves. Without Moutinho, we don't play at all. But Neves he's got to reinvent himself in the summer, I think, as a different kind of midfielder. Otherwise, he's going to be left behind.
If he has a good season next season, he could probably go for upwards of 60-70 million.
Yeah.
That's why I don't think Fosun would get rid of him this season, because his stock's relatively low for a player of his potential.
From a year ago, it's.
But we say that, and you look at like Gillette Soccer Saturday, all these pundits saying like Neves is an outsider for team of the season. Like, what games have you been watching?
It's like they're oblivious to it, though, aren't they?
He's still a name, isn't he? If you look at the fans of all the teams, whenever they talk about Wolves' best players, they always say Neves, and we're like, he's not that. He hasn't been that great.
For example, my sister's boyfriend yesterday, he's an Arsenal fan, says that Neves is too good for Wolves. Like, I can't understand how he's still at Wolves, and they're like, you know, his results. I mean, his performances haven't warranted him being not necessarily a lower club, but they definitely haven't warranted him being a bigger club stature or position wise. You know what I mean?
It's not like we don't see a lot of the ball against.
I said the possession stats earlier, having 60% plus possession, and you know, it's all well and good if we are holding a 2-0 lead. Well, I say that if we are holding a lead and they're knocking the ball around, then fair enough. But it's the fact that we're knocking the ball around when we want 2 goals down, and we need something. And it's like I almost at times feel sorry for Jota and Jimenez. Whereas we play well when these teams are high and Jota and Jimenez are picking at the ball and running at them. Whereas against these teams that are sitting deep, we don't have an idea of what to do. We don't understand. Jota and Jimenez can't quite get the ball enough and so on. But then at the same time, for argument's sake, the Southampton yesterday, a couple of chances that we had, Jimenez from close range, Jota from close range. Went out for a throw, didn't it? That one chance from 10 yards out.
That would have made it 2-2, though. That would have changed the game.
Yeah.
But just to come back to last Sunday, for me, Diogo Jota, I don't know how he didn't win man of the match. They announced that too early as well, because we've.
No, but announced at 85th minute. Jimenez.
It was a
when
great,
we were 2-0 or 2-1.
Jimenez's goal was fantastic, and the celebration we can talk about to great length in a minute. But Jota, I think that for me, if we would have won that game, he should have been given an MBE. Superb. He was.
How good has he been since the turn of the year?
He's the reason why we've done so well.
He's a different player to the one that I remember Leicester away at the beginning of the season, thinking he's getting battered. He was bullied. He was playing right out wide. Didn't suit him, and he couldn't cope with. Pereira, whoever Leicester had, he couldn't get past them, and he just looked a shadow of the player that we saw at points last year. He's 10 times the player that he used.
So it's a bit of a cliche, you know, where like pundits commentate, he just needs one goal and that will like set him off. It's almost from that Chelsea game, wasn't it? Yeah. But at the same time, I think he's quite fortunate towards the start of the season anyway that we saw him last year, so we knew what he was about. If we'd signed him in summer and he came in as a new signing, he would have been very fortunate to have broken back into the team, I think. But yeah, you're right. But yeah, the Watford game overall, to be 2-0 up, it was a good feeling. I thought, you know, we played okay up until that Delafeu goal. But Matt, what do you think it was? What was the downfall for Wolves?
I think as soon as we scored the second, it was right then, lads. Pack up.
I disagree because they still tried to score. They had a couple of breakaways where they should have scored.
It's just that a little bit deeper though, didn't we? Cody has to marshal that defence, and he was dropping so deep.
We were inviting it onto us at times.
I think the issue with Cody,
he's got no pace.
I think that was his issue. He knew Andre Gray was a quick guy, and he was like, right, I've got to sit deep. Otherwise, I'm going to get
him. He was like running in treacle. The third one, he just knocked it past him. I think that's why he dropped so deep, because he'll get found out if he's in a foot race.
Is that not Nuno's fault though? Surely that's an instruction from the bench.
I mean, Nuno can only. He can only do so much, can't he? Cody's on the pitch. He's got a marshal that defence.
But Nuno has got to tell him like
he has got some part to play in it as well. He might have said something like, just sit in and deep. We know how good you are at defending.
That's what frustrated me the most, is they stopped playing the way that they always play. I mean, that's why we threw away a 2-goal lead, because we completely changed how we play.
The thing is though, we usually when we sit in like that, like Matt said, we're usually quite good at sitting in like that. Especially against when we play against the bigger teams, we rely on sitting in like that.
How good are we at Chelsea? That's the deepest I think I've ever seen us play. We defended so well, didn't we?
We're playing Watford and we can't. They were creating chances all over the place.
They are a good side though.
Yeah.
They're not in the top 6. They're not elite. I don't think we'd defend that deep if we played someone like City or Liverpool.
That's what I mean. It was just weird.
I think if we'd have played the occasion rather than playing Watford, do you know what I mean? If they'd have thought, right, this is a semi-final, we just need to make sure that we do not concede. then we wouldn't have.
That's the first time this season where I've felt like properly let down by that team. I know that probably seems harsh, but I came away from that game thinking, that's our season done now.
Well, we turned up with 15 minutes to go. That's what you think.
We were about to win the game.
Yeah.
30 seconds to go.
We've collapsed.
It was just a shift in momentum from De La Feo's first goal. You just knew that was it then.
You know the second one was coming eventually.
Yeah, and that shouldn't have been a goal. They should not have They should have cleared the throw in properly first of all, because I think they just was it Bolly who just sort of flicked it out.
Yeah, well, that was dreadful. I know what you mean. Yeah.
And then Dendoncker just paused in front of him. If he'd have just taken an extra step and just narrowed that angle a little bit more, but I mean, it's just what ifs, isn't it? All the time.
I just felt so let down. I was like, are we going to bounce back from that?
We were taking a special team to come and win yesterday.
If Watford had come and beat us 2-3-0, fair enough.
Yeah.
But it's the manner that we chucked it away.
I'd rather us not turn up and get absolutely battered.
Yeah.
It would have been embarrassing and we'd have been angry, but we could have accepted it. And that's why we lost as well, because at 90 minutes the crowd were just shocked. It was just silent.
That's another thing we'll talk about, because I mean, any big game for any club, you're going to get a lot of fans. We know Wolves have got the support, whether it be people like us that go to most of the games, whether it be people that or whether it be people that work during the weekends but keep track of the team, or whether it be people that sort of are a bit of a casual fan that go to when they can. So we know what we're going to sell out. But then when there's we've got that, any game when we concede a goal, everyone was nervous. It's going to quieten down. So when I get back home and see on Twitter that people are right, I can't wait for the proper fans to get back on Sunday. Oh, what's the point? We just lost the game. What's the point in digging at the fans? Everyone's enjoyed. If we'd won that game, it would have been none of that. But regardless, people have got to have things picking at.
I saw someone say they should just give tickets to the South Bank. I was like, all right, next time we get to Wembley, we'll just sell 4,000 tickets, and that we could give the rest to some of the schools in the local area.
I do think that I think it was Tim Spears perhaps or Nathan Judith that made a point after that they could have made an effort. Watford had that little
singing section.
But that's the thing. How many Wolves fans scoffed at Watford
singing
section?
But there was a couple of things that made the difference. The flags for them, and you can laugh, but we had carry bags. You can't really wave them around your head when you turn it up.
That looked a lot better than.
Yeah, but plus,
during the game, you couldn't just hold a bag up to sort of G the team.
I can see it from both points as well. Wolves thinking, right, carry bag a bit more practical, but a flag is if you take a flag home, people are going to say, I remember that after the semi-final. Carry a bag, you ain't going to get it out and think, semi-final.
I've literally just chucked mine in the loft now because I want to keep it off, so I don't want to see it ever again. But it's bad for the environment as well. 35,000 carry bags. I'm not being silly, but
talking Wolves, we are conscious of the environment, No biodegradable.
I'm being serious, guys.
Yeah. You don't know what those flags might have been plastic though. Might have been single use.
They could have been.
They were foil.
They might use it for the final actually, so probably not single use.
Yeah. But they could have sold blocks of South Banks here, North Bank here, Billy Wright here. So
someone did say that. Yeah, I saw someone say that.
It's a Billy Wright singing section.
Why is half of the Wolves fans singing and the other half just sat down?
But it was difficult as well the way the ground is set out there, because I was sitting on the front row of the top tier, so I could hear both downstairs and upstairs,
all
and
over
nothing.
The place.
When they were singing Jimenez's song, it's a difficult song to sing.
We got some
there's no, because there's two lines that sound the same. Nobody knew when to start.
But
if you want to know how to sing that song, you just look on the old Gold and Black
acoustic version. Get guitar out.
I think from where I was on the side of the pitch, because let my mum and dad sit together right behind the goal, and I just heard "Si Senor" at the start of every line. I think it's just such a vast space. It's hard to kind of choreograph a chant all together.
Someone with a megaphone at the next one, eh?
And Watford had a drum, and I don't agree with drum, but it
kept
worked
them going the whole
it kept
game.
them in rhythm.
Yeah.
I'm not missing that song.
The team for me.
I was like Derby for that one. DCFC, the team.
I quite like that chant.
Palace were just singing when they CPFC.
Don't work for us. So I'd say
the Wolves FC, the team for me.
Go on then.
That's it. Go
on
on.
I'll do that.
Get the guitar.
New Wolves champ for the 1920 season. But yeah, we come away from that now. I mean, obviously, I've not been able, I don't know about you lot, I've not been able to watch any of the highlights back ever since, like even with the mask celebration, which we'll talk about in a sec as well.
I've been reminded of the by Watford fans.
Yeah, when it comes up on my thing, I can't watch it. Even the goal.
No.
I've watched our goals. I haven't watched I've watched the whole highlights on the way
Say
back.
that though. Someone put Ruddy celebration to the goal on, and I was there like,
I've not watched that either. I can't.
So Matt, explain. Obviously, you put a blog post out after the game with the mass celebration. Okay, let's go around the room. Mass celebration. Mass celebration. Do you agree with it? Or you're not bothered either way?
I think it was a bit of fun. It celebrated his culture.
Yeah, I agree. I think nothing wrong with it.
Paul?
After the game.
What?
Yesterday after the game.
After the game, not during.
Because, as Troy Deeney said, not to call him a loser, and no disrespect to his culture whatsoever. At the time, it was fantastic, but then what?
How was he going to do it after the game?
The thing is,
I was just saying, just run around with it on.
The point I've been making.
Do you know what I mean?
It is. I can see what you're saying.
Because it would have been an iconic celebration had we have won the game, and fantastic. But because we lost,
it would have been off FIFA already if we'd won.
But
that
now
game.
it looks embarrassing.
The point I was making though is I think he would have done it anyway. Like say if it was like 1-0 to Watford and he scored 3 goals, I think he would have done that.
Yeah.
No,
he had it ready, man. He's behind the goal. He's got a brown blanket on him.
I think he was aiming to do it no matter the circumstances. I think.
I don't think it'd have done if they'd put 4 passes.
Oh yeah, but like
nodded one home in 90 seconds.
But like,
if he got a consolation goal, he got the mask on.
If they were winning and then 1-0 and he scored, I think he would have.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about it now. It's a bit sort of anti-Wolves over the last 2 years as well. For a player to do something just for him, if he was celebrating himself signing for Wolves, whereas all the last 2 years we've heard about the team and the team is more important than anything else. Yet he's Jimenez with his mask because he signed. It grinds a little bit with the rest of the team culture for me.
Do you think?
I
think they loved it.
Yeah, they all loved it by the look on the face.
Cody loved it, but he loves everything, doesn't he?
Yeah. He jumps on everyone. So yeah, you did that blog post then, and
I thought it was quite a well-crafted blog. I've not been writing.
I
for a long time. I thought, you know what, I was going to put this
we posted it up, and then I'll go to sleep, wake up in the morning, and Watford fans, really well written post until the personal attack on Troy.
It wasn't a personal attack, he's just a moron. What's the point? She said a great performance, you're like, oh, I lost my head. You're a pillock, mate. Yeah. You're an idiot. Like, just celebrate that you've won. You've won a massive game. You scored probably the most important goal in Watford's recent history. You've not played particularly well, but again, you scored an important goal. And then it spoke about the mask, and fair enough. But then she asked another question about the performance, and he went back again. Yeah. Like, what's your problem? What's your deal?
He did go on to praise Jimenez, didn't he?
Yeah, he's like, he's a great player. But only because he realised our thing. I think he realised.
That's just him reverting to type, isn't he? He's an idiot. I stand by what I said, though.
If he'd have lost as well, I think it would have been a bit more understandable to get a reaction like that. I think the 77 club.
Yeah, just be like gracious in victory. Like, you don't need to make that comment. Like I said, I lost my head if I saw that on the pitch. Well, you're just an idiot then, aren't you? If you can't control...
Can you not have... Surely he would have seen that, though. Surely.
I hope he wears it out tonight.
Well, I don't understand what it means.
Wear that in Darlings.
Got Cinderella's in your masks on.
But yeah, I don't regret anything I said. I didn't even say anything bad, but for them Watford fans to say it's racially aggravated, I couldn't believe that.
Well, obviously there were racist comments, and then all these Watford fans were putting them on Twitter. I was there, like you said. I don't think Miguel Sousa is a Wolves fan.
Miguel Jimenez dos Santos.
It's true though, isn't it? Yeah.
From the invention.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not condoning it at all, obviously.
No, of course not. It's disgusting, but
saying it's disgusting Wolves fans when it wasn't mostly the Wolves fans.
I mean, there could be. We've not seen it all, so we can't comment. But there could be some Wolves fans in there. And it wouldn't surprise me. I've been subject to, well, obviously not me personally, but I've heard it around me at games and stuff. But yeah, to say it was from racially aggravated on my part, it's just ridiculous, man. It's just trying to get a bite, trying to get a nibble, but it didn't work. So, but I don't regret anything I said. I stand by it. I just think Deeney could have handled that a lot better.
Yeah.
Well, we've still got Watford fans messaging us on Talking Wolves now, so we must be.
Yeah, I saw it yesterday when we lost to Southampton, and some Watford fan would come back to me. I was like, "You got nothing better to do." Like, I don't really care.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we were hoping that we were going to bounce back yesterday, playing it up against Southampton, and it wasn't quite to be. Southampton 3, Wolves 1. Wolves 17 shots, 2 on target.
What are they classifying as a shot? Because I don't remember 17.
Jimenez is one, definitely wasn't.
Yeah, clearance.
Someone must have gone down in a penalty.
70% possession Wolves, 30 to Southampton. Tom, why are these stats all in Wolves' favour, but we lost 3-1?
Because we were hungover from last week.
Defensively inept.
What I said at half-time, and I think it's quite understandable, that they were thinking too much about what they had to do, whereas every game that we've seen under Nuno, that everybody's been well drilled. They know exactly who to pass it to at what time and where to push up, when to drop back. But they were just overthinking it yesterday. Every movement was being thought about, whereas it was natural before. And that's what, like, Sace was out of position for the first goal. It was good attacking play from Redmond, but he got in between Cody and Sace and scored that.
His positioning for that, Sace's positioning for Redmond's first.
Yeah.
Absolutely awful.
Bolly, terrible. Cody, slow and out of step.
Playing on one side as well. It's basic defending, which we've defended so well this season, but the past feels like the past month or so, it's just gone to pot.
Like last season, that was the thing that we noticed. Like we scored quite a lot of goals, but our defensive record is really good as well, and we're really solid at the back. And like you said, last few months, it's just been a bit.
So I remember saying on the last podcast, I don't think Bennett's going to play for Wolves again. So
I said that as well.
I think he might.
I think he might as well.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think like I'm actually I thought yesterday, of course, like we're big and Sace up now, but like his record with him at the back can't be too positive, surely, to goodness. Like I think against the big teams, and maybe I can see it, but against these teams, actually, like maybe these longer balls are a bit more direct. He seems to struggle a little bit more against them, doesn't he?
He's a better ball player than Bennett. There's no doubt about that. So
he's not a better defender though, is he?
I think against these teams down the bottom, I think you have to play Bennett because he'll just get the job done. Whereas perhaps against the better teams, when you can play a little bit more football, then Sace might be.
I think Sace is the more attractive option on the eye because he gets it down and plays with it a little bit more. But in terms of who's a better defender, it's Bennett, isn't it? But it depends what you want to go for. I'd argue against the lesser teams, you could play Sace because you're going to dominate possession, whereas Bennett is quite wasteful. Whereas he's a good defender, you're playing against the better sides when you've got to grit in and get stuck in.
I think it depends who you've got on the opposition's attack as well. If you've got a defensive Bennett and Cody down that, what would be the left hand side for the attackers, that's looking quite tasty. And if you've got like a Damari Gray or somebody like that running at those two, you're going to fancy that we're going to be torn apart.
If you notice yesterday, like that back three of Bolly, Cody and Sace, the gaps between them, you could have drove a bus between.
Yeah. What do you think yesterday would have suited someone a bit more like Ruben Vinagre on the left, or do you think that would have not made much difference? Or
I think Doherty's been really poor the last month or so. I know he scored last weekend, and he did have a fairly good game at Wembley. However, I don't know, he just seems to be.
He looks like it.
Yeah. Well, they all do, and that's the point that I think has been made by most people over the last couple of weeks, is that the depth of the squad is.
Well, we've got like 15, 16 first team outfield players, haven't we?
It's not enough, is it?
It's nowhere near enough.
It was okay up until a month ago, and that with these extra games of the cup now and the replay and everything like that.
Look at most of the squad; they're all, a large percentage of them are going to play away for the countries as well. Whether that's at main level, under 20s, like Vinagre and stuff, they're playing a lot of games. And if we got into Europe next season, touch wood, I actually think you're going to have to bring 5 or 6 players in.
We've played over 50 games already this season, I think.
And
with the amount of is it right? Yeah, I think it is.
I don't think we've played 50. We've only played 33, 32 league
well,
games now.
There's
only one in the League Cup, and then
There'll be 4 yards.
Yeah, it's going to be 40, not 50.
Sorry,
maybe by the end of the season we would have played around about 50.
Yeah, I did. Well, I probably that was probably.
Was that a question from the quiz?
No, it wasn't looking. No,
damn.
Well, including it was including pre-season games.
Oh.
We played. Listen. Including pre-season games, we've played 54. We would have played 54 matches over.
You can't
the
count
season.
pre-season.
Yeah, I know. So it will be just under 50 overall, but that's still. It's still a large number of games, especially, and it's almost as if, I mean, we mentioned this yesterday, Matt. You know, he gets them through this really tough pre-season, but it's almost as if it's catching up with them now. And, you know, they've got this Marbella trip this week as well. I'm just, touch wood, I'm hoping. Is it proper wood, Tom?
It's from IKEA, so I assume so.
I'm not sure. Let's hope it is. Touch wood. They come back next week against Brighton and do the job really.
Well, it's the third, fourth place playoff, isn't it, for the FA Cup?
The FA Cup, that's it.
That's what they should sell it as, the Wolves.
I watched Brighton. The highlights of
They were
Brighton.
terrible.
Oh,
If we don't beat them, then we don't deserve European football. Even if we finish 7th, and they should.
I
Judge
can't
it by
imagine the press
Saturday's
conference
result.
after that. Brilliant.
Oh, man.
Joe Edwards.
How many home games have? Come on.
Well, let's quickly go through it because I know I'm cautious of the time, but next few games we've got Brighton. Let me try and think. Brighton, Watford, Arsenal, Fulham, Liverpool. Is that right?
Yeah, that's first.
Matt, 7th place. I mean, I'm pretty sure 3 or 4 of us said no last time. Can we get it, or will we get it?
No.
No, Callum.
No.
Tom.
I'm trying to make it interesting. I'll say yes.
Yeah.
What do you believe?
No.
I don't know, man. I think everyone's sort of got it in the back of their head now that we're actually going to do it, don't they?
For me now, it's because of before that we was just. You would have said it was between us and Watford. Now everyone else seems to have caught.
Leicester have got it in.
There's like 4 teams there that can get it. I think that's the thing.
Whoever finishes 7th is literally like crawling out the line.
Yeah.
Because none of us can do a job at the minute.
It's weird though, but at the same time, I think I think we'd actually do okay in Europe, but I can't see if we're struggling now, like at this little phase. How are we going to cope with Thursday, Sunday, /
If
Monday?
we get into Europe, we're going to... I can see people like Cavalier and Costa staying.
Oh yeah, they will. I very much doubt we will make many sales if.
But we'll have to bring 5 or 6 players in. Do you think Johnny and Doherty will be first choice next season?
No.
I think it'd be Johnny and Vinagre. If I was in charge, it'd be Johnny and Vinagre.
I'd have to agree.
Johnny's that's his right back is like his trade.
I don't think he's that bad going forward.
No, I think.
Wait, when he gets the ball, he moves at his feet. He's not bad.
He's playing on his weaker foot as well.
He just cuts inside, and that's the problem. He's on his weaker side.
But if you look at the Man United game, how many times at the end did he go through and then?
Pass
sideways.
Yeah, that was. I mean, we forgot to mention that there was 2 chances there that he should have finished off. I think
that's where it's a little bit
shows he sort of yeah.
I think if he's better definitely on the right. Like I said, he hasn't got a cut in, and you can take it to the byline or get his cross away.
Yeah.
You always know what he's going to do.
I think Doherty as well. However good he was at the beginning of the season, the chance at 2-1 at Wembley, he should be taking that first time across the keeper, makes it 3-1 there. He doesn't score enough goals for me. That position for us is the most. They get the most chances in that right wing back position, so we need somebody who can score 10 goals.
Johnny had loads of chances.
Johnny had one in the first minute, didn't he, against Watford?
Well, you say he
has got a fair good amount of goals though to this season.
Well, he should have. He could have double the amount he's got.
He's only got 4.
6,
is it?
isn't it? 6.
That's including the cup as well.
Yeah.
I think when he was it like January, end of Jan, start of Feb, when he was like, God, like playing really well.
Everyone's on about going to Spurs, 30 odd million and stuff like that, weren't they? It's like,
that was just to get a new contract. I think.
He's on about getting Mendes as his agent. I don't think that ever went. I don't know if that ever went.
I think
through.
he just kind of hit his peak there. To be honest, I don't think he's that good.
Well, we'll move on. We'll quickly talk about yesterday's game again. Nuno at the end, questioned by Express and Stars Joe Edwards about not winning in these last 5 on the road, and he didn't take to it very well. We'll go around the room again. Matt, agree, disagree? Can see both.
I feel so sorry for Joe.
No,
he's not even asked a stupid question. He's literally highlighting the recent form. Nuno's obviously feeling the pressure. He just got beaten by a poor Southampton side, lost in a cup semi-final in that manner. I think he just kind of got to the end of his tether. He knows he doesn't like doing media duties, and I feel sorry for Joe. He's got both barrels. It's just
wrong person at the wrong time.
Joe, that's his job as well. That's what he's got to do.
It's not even a stupid question. No, it's like
that's what I mean.
He didn't even let Joe finish the question. It could have been coming on to a point saying, but if you look at your home form, or but he didn't. He was just like he just blown it straight out of the form. It's poor. You can't react like that. You got to keep your head.
I think he's feeling the pressure, Nuno, because if you look at the beginning of the clip, he's got his head in his hands like this, and he's
He was
I
angry
think he's
right at the
concerned.
start.
You watch the whole thing, but every question is negative though about it. Like why did you lose today? Why is this not
We
right?
hungover
Why
from
is this
last
right?
week,
Yeah. What about the FA Cup? We could see straight away he wasn't concentrating. He kept saying what. And when he said that, what,
Yeah.
you can see it on the clip
He was
to Joe.
angry, wasn't he?
He does do that a lot anyway.
Yeah.
I've watched most of his press conferences in their entirety this season, and he does. If they don't speak clearly, or if perhaps the words
Quite aggressive. And he's like, what?
But like he said, he doesn't like doing these media things. He just wants to get them over with, and you know,
he just heard Joe go like 5 away games. You've lost. So I was like, oh no, we know what's coming.
But all jokes aside, I'm surprised it's taken this long for him to either like walk out, and it's almost it's quite Mourinho-esque almost,
There's a
isn't
few
it?
moments where he's given like shitty answers, but he's never like
Well,
completely.
he almost smiles at the end of it because he knows he's winding people up.
They are.
Yesterday.
His press conferences are boring. Apparently, there's barely any of the national press turn up now because they just know that it's going to be the same script that he gives out every week. Even when they ask him about, like when Kepa got refused to be substituted, or the race thing with Sterling, he just gives a generic. Well, that's their problem. We'll just get on with ours. Right, okay, great.
Yeah. I think.
But it's not his job to entertain the press. It's his job to get results on the pitch, and he has been doing that all season.
Joe's got a duty to ask questions, and as a journalist, you ask questions that the fans want to know. Fans want answers. You haven't. The away form has been poor. So what's the explanation?
I don't think it's been that poor either. Before Burnley, we drew to Chelsea and Bournemouth away. I think was the start of this run, perhaps. It's not a bad run of form, really. I know that we've lost the last two against and we should have picked up points, but
I think it's a fair question. I don't think it was out of the ordinary. I just think Joe's unfortunately been subject of him just getting super pissed off, and he's just gone for him.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit of a non-story for me either, because it was at the end of the conference anyway. I think
Probably
it was
didn't have his
4
cigarettes,
minutes
did
in.
he? He didn't have his fags after the game.
He should have
Yeah,
Nicky patch on his. He probably got to catch his flight to Marbella as well. The press officer was like, "Come on, Nuno." Couple sangrias waiting.
Well, I say when we put it on, I said to you a lot earlier, when we put it on social media, the difference between the responses from Facebook, where it was mainly sort of adults, sort of 30, 40 plus, like slating the journalist and backing Nuno, whereas on Twitter, if you ignore all the Albion and Villa fans that were talking about it, Wolves fans were mainly backing the journalist and saying, why is Nuno bitting like that? So it's interesting to see the two perspectives.
There's a different demographic for Twitter and Facebook.
Yeah, but it's interesting to see the responses, though, the difference in responses as well.
Because Facebook's full of yummy mummies who haven't got a clue. So.
We had that before. I don't think I mentioned this on the last podcast. When we put a poll about Ene Bakari on Twitter, everyone mainly says we should give him a new contract. Compared to Facebook, he got 80-90%. Like a lot of the older people just don't. They can't see past.
Dingles over.
Yeah, they just almost can't see past the potential or the current ability. You know what I mean? So, from that, our final topic as such on main stuff like this is season ticket prices. Now again, this has been very, very mixed on Twitter. I've seen people that ain't asked. I've seen people that are asked. Tom, I'm going to start with you because for one, you sit Billy right up where price has gone up the most probably, or it is the highest price, and you've done a video on it so we can get what people have said to you. So what are your thoughts firstly?
Well, I'll speak on behalf of my dad first of all. He's very, very angry with the hike in prices. Not necessarily from this season, but from the last 2 seasons. I think it's gone up by something like £100 for us.
Okay.
For us, per
overall, or per season, it's gone up £100.
So from 2017, when we first bought those seats, it's gone up by £100.
Okay.
Which is extortionate, and it's exploiting the goodwill of the fans at the moment, is what he's saying.
He says, yeah.
However, I can see it from the business point of view as well, and I understand that if you take a season ticket from, let's say, Everton last season, who finished 7th or 8th, it's probably comparable sort of price. And with what Dalrymple said as well he said it last season with the hike in prices, that it will be mirrored in the signings that we make, and he was true to his word. We signed 2 of Portuguese's best ever footballers, right? So that if they were to do that again, then fair enough. You can raise the prices by 14%. Well, who would be the comparable? Who could they sign that's going to be 14% better?
Ronaldo.
Than Coutinho. It's difficult because they're gonna. They have been true to their word because they've signed Raul Jimenez now for 32 million, right? But then he's already a member of our squad. That's what we paid last season. You could argue that.
I couldn't.
So who are we going to sign that's going to be 14% better than what we've already got? Is what I would say. If we get European football. Well, I think it's going to be a lot harder for us next season anyway, because I think the division is going to be tougher as it is with Norwich, probably Leeds, and any one of those 4 playoff teams. I think is stronger than the 2 that came up with us last year. I think it'd be Villa as well. But so it's going to be a tougher division. I think we might struggle more next season because we're not going to get the results against the top 6 teams that we did this year, and I think we could end up finishing 10th or 12th next season, and then there is going to be questions asked of the prices for next season, because at the moment I'm happy with paying what I've got to pay for next season.
Yeah.
If then it's replicated in the transfer market, but then I wouldn't be happy with paying an extra 14% again next season.
I think that can keep increasing.
Well,
I don't think they will as well.
They're going to lose the core of Wolverhampton's a working class city, and people struggle as it is to buy season tickets year in year out, and to travel away from home every single week is a struggle for most people. People make ends meet and they do it, and the club should be grateful for that support. Every away end has been sold out this season. Even Newcastle on a Sunday night and Huddersfield on a Tuesday night, it's always been sold out. So they have to show that respect to the fans by keeping it the same next season. I feel they cannot put it up again.
You're right there, because I think, again, from a business point of view, they've looked at it and thinking, we've got 5,000 people here waiting for a season ticket. Yeah. If we just knock it up a little bit, we know regardless we're going to get that money. So yeah, exactly. So it's almost like if you look at it from a commercial point of view, you got a product there, but you sold out, but another 5,000 people want it. If you up the price, you're still going to get sales of it, which I can see from their point of view. And as investors, that's how obviously over time they've made their money anyway. I'm fine with it now. It's affordable for me personally, but if again it goes up another percentage like it has, that's when questions are going to be asked. But now, because I don't know what's going to happen in 12 months, we could win the league and I ain't going to be bothered.
Or we could get relegated.
Exactly. Yeah. So now I'm not going to comment on it now because I'm in a position for it to be okay. If it happens next year and it's getting a bit like, right, it's gone up 200 quid in 2 years, I think you're starting to take the pee here. That's when I'll be angry, but not now. There's no point.
The timing of it, I think, was awful as well. Had we have won on Sunday, nobody would have said anything at all.
Yeah.
Great, we're in an FA Cup final. Yes, I'll pay whatever you want me to pay.
Yeah.
But the way that we lost, and then 2 days later, I'll give us an extra 50 quid or whatever it is for everybody.
I don't know actually, because someone had sort of seen it on the website, hadn't they? So I don't know if they were almost rushed into announcing it as well because someone had caught on, or whether it's just a total coincidence that they put it on the website and then they were going to announce it anyway.
I think they should have swapped the Jimenez announcement and the season ticket announcement.
Yeah.
Instead of announced the season tickets 2 days before Wembley, oh great, yeah. Then Jimenez to lift everybody's mood.
Yeah. I was actually exactly. Yeah.
I still think it's affordable though. And a lot of people moaning are the ones who get to town at 10 o'clock in the morning on the piss. Well, you might have to
cut 2 points less.
Yeah, exactly. And
So it's like £3.50 less a match.
I'll put money aside because I know I anticipated a hike in season ticket prices. So it's one of the ones you're not going to please everyone. Focusing on a business, not a charity. Yeah. So.
And they've put a lot of money into.
We've consistently broke our transfer record every window since
4 or
they've
5
come in.
times already.
So like. The investment that they've put in, I'm happy to then invest my more money into what they're doing. But it's hard to comment on a season that hasn't happened yet. We could get to top 4, we could be relegated. Yeah. I can see fans' point of view, but I don't think it's that much of a hike.
Yeah.
For the brand of football that we're playing.
It's gone up 50% though since 2017. If you. But the product that we get in, you could argue, is 50%.
But then I don't know if this is factually true. They're comparing it with the last time we were in the Premier League.
It's actually less, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's 5% more than the last time we were in the Premier League.
Last time my dad's season ticket, when we had Doyle that era. I think it was like 600.
Yeah, but then every season when we were going in, we went in to fight bravely against relegation. We weren't going every season thinking...
They never invested any money.
Exactly, and we weren't going into every season thinking, right, let's try and finish top 10 this year.
Yeah.
And we've gone into that straight away, and we should probably go into that next season, depending on how we finish off.
Until the Steve Bull is redeveloped and it's got 2,000 extra corporate seats that they can charge £300 a game for, we might have to pay a little bit extra. But we might see a drop then.
I think once the stadium's like redeveloped and they get more people in, I think
it will level out.
I know what people are saying, it's only $2 million, it's pocket money for them, but this is how they're a business. Like, how can we, they're not going to, how do they make money?
The football club on its own needs to make money separate to Fossen as well. That's the thing. Yeah. They've got to balance their own books.
I'm no expert of FFP, but I assume that
it goes towards financial fair play as well.
Ticket sales as well.
Ticket and merchandising in it.
Every $2 million you make, you can spend an extra £10 million on a player or something. So that's like
because they're a lot more relaxed in the Prem, aren't they, about financial fair play?
So for us, that's I know we just spent 30 million on one player, but like 2 million, that means we can buy a player for 50 million.
Another way to put it, but it's paying another couple of players' wages for the year as well. You know what I mean?
And I saw people when we were like 3-1 down yesterday saying like, bloody hell, how much are season ticket prices again? Joke. It's like, like just anything to have a pop. But it's a lot of money to watch football, but the brand of football we're playing, I'm not complaining. If they keep increasing it, then that's when you're gonna have a problem. But I don't think, unless they got into the top 4 and we had Champions League football, I don't think they'd be in a position to.
If it's what you do, what you like and what you enjoy, then why not spend your money on it? That's all.
Exactly.
Like people spend hundreds of pounds on playing FIFA and buying an Xbox.
It's a small investment for me over so many games. Don't more Saturdays revolve around Molyneux. I look forward to it throughout the week. I haven't done for years, but
if people break it down, I think it's when people are seeing this lump of money at one time. Yeah. If you got your gas bill for the next year, you're gonna be like, fucking hell, I need to get a new gas supplier. Really, you know what I mean? But if you break it down monthly, direct debit. I mean,
but they've frozen prices for kids and 17s, haven't they? And obviously adults increase.
No one really mentioned that, did they?
But everyone's moaning.
But not a negative.
From a business point of view, if you're an adult in your 50s, the customer life cycle, I'm going into marketing, the customer life cycle, they're trying to appeal to those younger fans. They're trying to get younger fans through the doors, because again, their customer life cycle is bigger than someone who's could be dead in the next 20, 15.
But then people are comparing it to Bayern Munich's prices. But then you look at their prices. That price bracket is for the shitty seat or the disabled section seats. They're €150 seats. The season ticket for a disabled supporter, not an adult supporter in the main stand.
That's a myth, because I went to a German game the other week last year and we paid like £50 for a ticket, so that's a myth.
They can't afford to do it.
My physio's a Bayern Munich fan. He's from Aldridge in Walsall, don't know how.
Your mate that walks around in the Borussia Dortmund tracksuit top.
And he goes to quite a few games. He said you get absolutely fleeced unless you're like a season ticket holder when it's fairly cheap, like match day prices for tourists. He said you pay an arm and a leg because they can see you coming a mile away. And I think Wolves are going to start to attract a lot more tourists, but it's good for the club. That's how you grow. As long as you keep that,
it's the atmosphere, though, isn't it?
As long as you keep that core group of fans, and where our heritage, which you think City have kind of lost over time, which is the price of success. If we keep that, then I'll be happy. But you've got to expect to pay more money for a better quality football.
Yeah.
Probably not 50% now.
Well, I'll be interested to see if anyone's got any thoughts, if they wanted to tweet us or leave a comment on the video. We're going to move on to the questions now. We had a few questions, one a bit different from Joe. He said, your favourite Wolves Russell, i.e. Redmond, who did the Zulu sign yesterday in front of the Wolves fans.
No one's really bothered, are they?
I thought it was funny.
Half the Wolves fans comment on it. What does this even mean?
I didn't see.
Yeah, but I don't really remember even playing for. Saying that, I used to go out with a girl who was his sister was going out with her. That's more claim to fame.
Obviously, Troy Deeney, David Davis in front of the Southampton. Has anyone got any, not favourites? I don't think everyone's ever going to be.
Lee Griffiths did Lee Hughes' celebration at Port Vale.
But then Lee Hughes did the 5-1, although they were 2-0 down. Yeah, he got subbed off and did the 5-1.
I haven't really got a favourite.
Yeah, there's not a favourite, but I mean the memorable ones. Lee Griffiths, I remember that one.
That picture of Adam Wingy going like that. After the hat trick, that picture just haunts me.
If you want about the Wolves ones, the Dicko one at Warsaw.
Yeah,
we've been better than them.
The bloke runs on the pitch.
Yeah, I can't really
remember that.
Lindsay.
Who was the manager then? Was it Dean Smith? Was it John Wick?
Before Smith, I'd imagine.
It might have been.
No, it
Or
was.
was the year? It was either Dean Smith or the year before Dean Smith. So I'm not sure. I don't know. Matthew says from all the podcasts, 5 players you'd sign in the summer. I mean, we do this one. Just say one player's got to be different player each. If it's got to be it's got to be a realistic signing. But let's say money isn't an object. So say it
isn't. It really isn't.
Did we have this question?
Not with these
last
season
time?
ticket
Yeah,
prices.
but no, it's Prem players last time. I think this is.
That's the challenge.
I don't know enough foreign.
Okay, I'll start with
Oh,
defender. I'll go Ruben Diaz.
Never
Never heard of him.
Brahimi.
I was
Yes,
going to say, I
Brahimi.
don't know who he is,
Yeah,
but I know he's on a
it's
free.
Yeah, but
Hector Herrera's on a free as
Nuno
well. for
might
Porto.
be here next season, isn't he?
Joe Edwards at the helm.
Felix, João Felix.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean that'd be great. We'll get a prime Pele.
Wan-Bissaka. Yeah.
Wan-Bissaka's the best fullback in the league.
I said Nathan Ake last time. I'll stick with Ake and Vardy.
Vardy. Oh yeah, Vardy's he's starting to get a bit of form now, isn't he?
I think we need a big shithousing striker as well.
Troy Deeney.
Jonas.
With a mask. Revealing with a mask. Can you imagine that?
If we actually signed
Matt
Troy
Cooper
Deeney.
mask.
That would absolutely bang on Twitter, wouldn't it?
Oh.
Matt Cooper mask. Let's quickly see if there's any other.
What's your thoughts on everyone wearing a mask before? Watford.
Great.
I don't think it's up to them.
Don't
really.
bother me.
I don't
I won't
bother
be
me.
wearing one, but I think it's.
Yeah,
it's
I won't be wearing one. But
who would want to cover this up?
Yeah.
wear what you want.
We've
I
got-
think
Within
You
reason.
look stupid if we lose though. But
I've just got an image of Troy Deeney scoring,
and
and like
Whipping
all
one
our
out.
fans are there, like in the background with these masks on.
Did you see that bloke
Yeah,
on the front
pulls
row? But then there's the picture everybody shared of him really sad then at the end of the game with his thing like that.
Someone said, "Tell Matt I love him."
Who's that?
VFL
Julie
Raul
Cook.
Jimenez.
Your mother. Your mother.
Your,
Yeah.
yeah,
She
your
doesn't,
uncle.
yeah.
Yeah, Kai Walls 10. Yeah, good fan. Someone said, "Will we ever wear old gold again?"
I thought we were wearing it this season. That was
So did I.
the point of it.
Division
Does
1
it mean like
rejects in tatty orange shirts.
I think that's it, to be honest. We'll move on to the quiz quickly to finish us off. A little bit of fun.
I won't look at the answer.
No looking. This is about
If I don't win.
the FA Cup. Sorry, everyone. The history of the FA Cup.
right, how does this work?
So it's not too.
So, alright, we've got. I think there's 4 questions each. It's a bit of a weird number. Callum, because you're the guest, you can pick. You want to go first, second, or third?
I'll go second.
Second. We'll go Matt first. Rouse third.
We don't get. It's just.
No, I'll
You
do.
do. You can put
Matt.
the guitar in.
Which club did Wolves lose to in last season's FA Cup third round?
Third round.
I know this.
Oh,
Can we buzz in if we know the answer?
Yeah, we don't get a point.
I think.
Last season.
Yeah, I know.
12 months ago.
Did we?
it was grim.
It was grim.
It was grim.
Time's ticking, man. Come on.
I can't remember.
It was Swansea.
Oh, what did I say the answer?
Oh, sorry, Tom.
Oh yeah, 'cause it was a replay. wasn't it?
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not a
I
replay.
would-
There was it Leroy Fer sent off on the halfway line
Yeah,
for a
for
last man?
Yeah.
But Agre also got sent off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a bad tackle.
That was sick.
Yeah, because Jota scored, didn't he? And then AU scored again.
Yeah.
AU,
Oh,
Wolves
yeah.
AU.
Sign him up.
So I do know my stuff.
Callum,
Under pressure.
in the 2011-2012 season, Wolves lost out in
You
the
weren't a
third.
fan then?
Yeah,
Supporting
I was
United.
supporting Warsaw.
In the Wolves lost out in the third round to which West Midlands side?
Okay, I know.
Blues.
Correct.
On a replay,
Correct. Yeah, it was. In the 2003-2004
This is my turn
season,
now.
Tom, Wolves managed to get through to round 4 by beating which West Midlands based side?
Again, on another replay, was Kidderminster Harriers.
This guy, he knows it all. That was
We shouldn't have actually won that game. There was a.
what
an off-
division were they in back then?
I think they would have been in either League 2 or the Conference, I think.
Interesting.
But yeah. We had an offside goal. I can't remember who scored it, but
I
we
can't
had
imagine that now.
offside.
Playing kiddie in like a. Imagine that. Matt, back to you. In January 2008. No, listen. Oh, you have another question, yeah. Wolves beat Watford 4-1 at Vicarage Road.
I was there.
Please name me one of the Wolves' goal scorers.
2008.
Yeah. I think all 3 goal scorers were strikers.
What league would it have been in there?
Championship. Early McCarthy days, was it? No, well, not. Well,
Right
sort of
in the
mid
middle.
McCarthy
It was
days.
the disappointing season that we missed out on the playoffs.
Year before we went up. Who was the strike force?
Andy Keogh.
Correct. Keogh got twice.
He won Man of the Round. That
Man
of
of
the
the round.
round.
Imagine that on
Man
Ultimate
of the
Team,
round.
eh? Keogh twice, Bothroyd and Elliott.
Yes, I've got all of those. Do I get
Showing
extra
off
point?
now.
All right, it's not a dick measuring competition.
It's a Wolves competition and I'm winning.
Callum, in 2011, Doncaster Rovers took Wolves to a replay back at Molineux, which Mick McCarthy side won 5-0. Please name me one of the 5 goal scorers.
Oh, don't know this one.
I actually went to the game.
The Tuesday night.
Doyle.
Goal scorers are Stephen Fletcher, Jeffrey Munjangi-Beer, Matt Jarvis,
No
Dave
way
Jones,
Beer
and
scored for
Kevin
us.
Doyle.
No way Jeffrey Mujan
Mate, I
scored
remember.
for us.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
he did.
remember.
You were having a laugh.
That's the only goal I remember from that
I
game.
don't remember ever making an appearance.
Yeah. Rouse. In 2009, Wolves knocked Birmingham out at St Andrews with a 2-0 win. Name me one of the goal scorers. I was at this game because it got the first game. Yeah, the first game got postponed because of the snow, so we had to play them on a Tuesday night.
I don't remember that.
Are you sure this is the FA Cup?
Yeah, it was. Howard Webb was the ref because he got an assist for one of the goals.
Oh, no.
You know.
Yeah. Can you pass it over?
2009.
Yeah. Both strikers.
Ebanks Blake.
Keogh or Vokes.
Vokes,
Yeah.
I don't know. I really
Birmingham
don't
had the
remember that
ball,
game.
passed it, bounced to Howard Webb, and he sent Vokes through.
on goal.
He sent Vokes through. Matt, back to you. Ooh. How many times have Wolves won the FA Cup?
4 times.
Oh, yes. Callum, before this season... Oh, this one's probably the hardest one. Before this season, when was the last time Wolves got into an FA Cup semi-final?
That's easy.
98.
Yep,
It's
correct.
easy. If the last time we won... can I ask a question?
Go on then.
Unless this is the next question. No, I'll ask it at the end.
Yeah.
Ask it.
Having a conversation with yourself.
You're showing off now, Rouse. So
I'm gonna
I
get
was
this
going to
one.
give you a helping hand with this one. We'll see. How many FA Cup goals did Steve Bull score? I'll give you one either side.
12.
No, it was 7. He only scored 7 FA Cup goals.
Pathetic.
Pathetic.
It was
Rubbish.
How many goals?
That's why you shouldn't have a statue.
Matt, how many goals did Raul Jimenez score in this year's FA Cup? It's your last question. You've got to get this right.
Are you keeping score?
No, I'm not. I was expecting you not to.
So, who did he play first round? He scored one against
Don't give away any other goal scorers because that might be
Shrewsbury. He scored one against Watford. He scored one against United. He scored against Liverpool. 4.
Correct. Well done. Well worked out.
I did the exact
Callum,
same.
how many goals did Matt Doherty score in this year's FA Cup?
If you ask Wolves first, about 300.
He's watching.
So,
4.
Correct as well. And Tom, how many goals? How many goals
What
did
you do
Diogo? How many goals did Diogo Jota score in the FA Cup?
One against Manchester United, and that was it.
You going for 1?
Hang on.
come on, I didn't get this long on that. My question.
Yeah, you did.
I haven't stopped talking.
Content.
Yeah, 1.
Correct.
Yes.
That's it.
I forgot who scored the second.
You got
against
one
Liverpool.
wrong. You got one wrong. Can we get a full house? No. Did you
Yeah,
get
I
one
got
wrong?
2 wrong.
You got a tiebreaker?
No, I didn't get any wrong.
No, I think.
I'll give you the tiebreaker, shall I?
Go on then. What was yours?
Can you tell me the venue at which Wolves last won an FA Cup semi-final?
Hillsborough. No.
Oh, you're playing,
No.
Hillsborough.
Was that right?
No.
Oh right. I don't have a
It's
clue.
obviously not Wembley, is it?
No.
It's a neutral venue.
Old Trafford.
Villa Park.
It was against Villa at the Hawthorns,
Really?
Yeah.
When was that? What year?
1916.
Oh, back then. Those days.
Yeah,
You just finished school by then. haven't you?
just
Well, I think that's all. We've got plenty spoken about today. As always, for anyone listening or watching, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the Talking Wolves channel. If you're listening on a podcast app, leave us a review. Someone left us a 3-star review, you know.
3 stars.
No,
What's the point of
no
that?
comment. Just
what,
3
you
star.
want 1 star or 5?
Yeah.
No one wants to read a boring review.
They
Or
didn't even
mid-
write a
middle of the
review.
road.
They just left 3
Or I
stars.
want to be utterly shite or the.
They just left 3 stars. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, leave us a review.
It'll be 2 stars this week.
Leave us a comment as well.
Do you want to
Yeah.
get yourself a
Again.
Matt, let us know your social medias. Where can people find you?
At M Cooper writes as in written. Yeah.
What?
Instagram
Oh.
and Twitter.
Oh, we've had a few people struggle to find you because of that. Yeah, all the links are in the descriptions, by the way. Callum.
At Callum Doherty _.
I spelled that.
DLUGHCY.
_.
Underscore.
And Rouse
The old golden black.
on YouTube.
On
And you
YouTube.
can find me Dave at Dave as a party. AZZOPARDI. We've been doing this.
Can you do it in a phonetic alphabet as well, please?
As
That's
no,
not
Alpha,
Yeah.
Zulu.
I don't know what
YouTube sensation Dave was a part of.
Brilliant.
The biggest Wolves YouTube
The
channel.
number one
Number
YouTuber.
one. Yeah.
But the next time we're on a podcast will be at the end of the season. Will Wolves be in European football?
No.
Probably not. Until next time, we'll see you all very soon.